Hello, my name is Poe. I am the official mascot of the Deadites on Deck Horror Shop. Come, take my claw. Oops, mind the slime. Let me show you around the horror shop. What's that? I don't like horror? Well, let me show you some of the cool stuff we have over here.
Watching movies with a dead chick and the gang, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bang bad. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Oh, it's sci-fi, comedy, and more. We got it all this weekend. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy, and more. We got it all this weekend.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to the rescheduled the initiation watch along. In case you're wanting to watch along with the movie tonight, and you don't have a copy of it, I have a link for the movie on YouTube in the description for the video. So be sure to click on that if you need a copy of the movie to watch. And yes, I do have my dog pool shirt on today. This is not a shirt that I've made. This is a store-bought shirt. But speaking of shirts, I do have many designs of shirts on the Deadites on Deck horror shop at deaditesondeck.com. Make sure you hop on over there and check out the t-shirts, the tote bags, the mouse pads, the blended tees, the Booga Booga Bears, which are soon going to be making a price drop because this is why. This is Poe. He's not completely completed yet. He does have a collar. He got his collar today. And his name tag, which Steve helped because his handwriting is neater than mine is. So I had him do the tag for Poe. And he is soon going to have these little jobbies, these little horns. I was going to do something else, but I was looking at these on Amazon, which are actually part of a headband, but I mean, they come detachable. Or detached, I guess I should say. And they're actually going to go on Poe here. I'm going to be attaching those shortly to Poe. And I'm going to be adding a nose and a mouth, giving him some eyebrows so he will, have a little more personality to him. But these are going to, I think I've decided on a price of $50. And you guys and gals might be thinking, well, dang, that's a little steep for a stuffed animal, for a plushie. Okay, gang, I'm going to be entirely honest and upfront with you. I mean, I'm not holding a gun to anybody's head. Nobody has to buy these. But these are all hand sewn. They're going to be original, one of a kind, because there's no way I can make every single one exactly the same, right? Okay. And they're going to be slight differences in them. So everybody that orders one is going to be getting one of a kind. They're hand sewn. I take a lot of time and loving care to make these. And so I think my time, the material cost, and all of that is worth $50. Now, like I say, if you don't think so, if you don't feel that way, then you don't have to buy one. But that is the price tag I'm going to be putting on these plushies. But the Book of Booga Bears, I've thought about it and thought about it. The Book of Booga Bears, I'm basically buying the teddy bear. I'm not hand sewing the teddy bear. So I'm not out any material cost other than the cost of the shirt and the ink and stuff like that. So the Booga Booga Bears will soon be making a price drop to around $35. Okay. Between $30 and $35. I haven't, you know, settled on an exact price. But the Poe plushies, the RJ plushies that'll be coming soon, and any other plushies I make will be $50. Okay. So, anyway, just wanted to talk a little bit about the shop. And in fact, just so you guys will have it, I'll put the shop address in the chat so that you can feel free to click on it if you would like. Okay. So I also hope that you guys and gals like the little animated Poe with the British accent. I'm not sure why I decided that Poe was going to have a British accent, but I thought it sounded cool. Hopefully Poe will be able to make an appearance or several appearances with me either on streams or on videos. I'm still working out all the logistics of it, but look for that to be coming soon. This next week at work might be kind of rough, and I'm kind of playing it by ear, but I'm hoping to have all the rescheduled stuff that I did not get to do last week. There'll be a new Dick's Picks. There should be the rescheduled Cannon Fodder, the rescheduled They're All Messed Up. The VHS Overload segments seem to be taking off nicely. Thank you guys and gals for tuning in or watching those on the replay. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is a rescheduled watch along. I will be having some more watch alongs next week. That will be a regular watch along weekend. Y'all feel free to keep voting on the movies. I think the ones in the lead right now are Almost Famous for Sunday and Hell Night for Saturday night. Both of those will be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time on their respective days. I will try to get links for each one of the movies so that if you don't own a copy, you can still watch along with me as I'm doing the watch along. If anybody wants to come in here live with me on the stream tonight for the initiation, feel free to let me know so that I can get you the link. If you come in later and need a timestamp, I'm sure either I or somebody else that's watching along will be glad to give that to you. And trying to, Movie Roulette. Movie Roulette is in full effect. If you give a $5 or more super chat during any of my live streams, that includes this watch along tonight, then you can pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do a review of on an upcoming episode of Movie Roulette. So if you were unsure what Movie Roulette was, that is what it is. And I've enjoyed the ones that I've done so far, even the ones that the Dead Pit Boys picked, which Into the Pit was fine. I enjoyed going back and watching the boys documentary. Uncle Bill picked Necromantic 2, which was not fun, I'm not gonna lie. But I did watch it, I did get through it, I did do a review as promised. And let me just note some ways that you can support me and support the channel without having to pay one dime. And that's, if you haven't subscribed and you like the content I'm putting out, it's free to subscribe. You can like the videos and streams. That helps out. That helps out with the algorithms. You can hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming stuff. And also you can share my channel with friends and family members that you think might be interested in the content I'm putting out. All of those things help me and help the channel, and they don't cost you a dime. Okay. I mean, of course, you can buy things from the Deadites on Deck shop at deaditesondeck.com. and support me that way. You can join the channel for as little as $5 a month. And that supports the channel. But there are a lot of ways that you can support the channel, and it's not monetary. So I just wanted to lay all that out there. I'm at 910 subscribers now. I appreciate all of the support coming from you guys and gals. And I was just trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to bring up right now, and I can't think of anything. So we're going to go ahead and get started in a minute or two with this watch along. I am watching the film on the Arrow Blu-ray. I've got mine queued up about 8 seconds in, where it says Tom Vance, Leo Angelos, Georgian Bay Productions Limited, Joseph Monzio present. So I'm going to give everybody a minute or two in case you're watching along tonight to get queued up, and then we'll go ahead and do the countdown. We'll get started with this watch along. I had a very active chat last night as I was doing VHS overload, talking about some of my favorite VHS cover art from 1981 films. I hope we have a lot of people in tonight. I hope the chat is active. If not, I will carry on as always, but I'm hoping that we have several people in here and that y'all enjoy what I've got to offer tonight. And while we're waiting for everybody, I will just
Hello, my name is Poe. I am the official mascot of the Deadites on Deck Horror Shop. Come, take my claw. Oops, mind the slime. Let me show you around the horror shop. What's that? I don't like horror? Well, let me show you some of the cool stuff we have over here.
I just love Poe. He's become like a really big part of, not only the shop, but, the streams and stuff like that. I'm wanting to work him in more and more to different things. And hopefully my light will stay up and not fall down like it did right before I got on to do VHS overload. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do the countdown and get to this movie, folks. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, press play. And we are off and running, folks. Hopefully nothing will lock up on my side. This is a film that I was late to the game watching, actually. I don't know how I missed it. It has Vera Miles, Clu Gulager's on this, and of course, Daphne Zuniga. Daphne Zuniga is pretty much our main girl in this. It's introducing Daphne Zuniga, actually. And you notice I'm being a little bit quiet, but we are, going through the credits here. And this is directed by Larry Stewart. So we're seeing, a bunch of dolls with their heads cut off. and maybe some stuffed animals. And there's a thunderstorm. There's a Winnie the Pooh there. There's something very creepy about dolls with their heads cut off, or stuffed animals with their heads cut off, for that matter. And even the Humpty Dumpty, who's beside the little girl in bed, has had its head removed. And it's storming. I'm glad it's not storming here tonight, or raining at the moment. So the little girl's awakened probably by the storm. And she notices her Humpty Dumpty, or whatever that is missing a head. And she's walking down the hall, and I like the very dreamlike quality of this, especially the introduction. And it appears that someone is having sex. And this is supposed to be Vera Miles and Clu Gulager, but I don't think that's their body. That's them in close up. And it appears that the little girl is stabbing at the bed. And then another man comes into the room. So it appears that that Vera Miles' character is having an affair, and her husband's come in and caught him, and it looks like he inadvertently got caught on fire. And then that apparently was the young Kelly, and now we have the Daphne Zuniga version of Kelly, who's awakened by her sorority sisters, and she is actually pledging to this sorority, as well as her other fellow sorority sisters there. And they're chanting Delta Rho Chi never will die over and over again. I was never, I never did go to college very long. I went to college for a short time. And so I was never in a sorority, never intended to be in a sorority. I mean, I have nothing against people that, were part of sororities or will be part of sororities or are part of a sorority now. But it just never seemed to be my thing. Too much politics to it for my liking. And I don't mean politics as in president or anything like that, just the politics of a sorority. And the one sorority sister looks like the oldest sorority sister in the history of sorority sisters. Hey, the poet, you say, how long is this movie? This movie is an hour and 37 minutes, the poet. Or at least my Blu-ray is. Says the 35-year-old sorority sister. So they're talking about prank night. I absolutely love Daphne Zuniga. I know she was on Melrose Place later, and I'm not a fan of Melrose Place or any of those type of shows. But when Daphne Zuniga was doing movies like this, I think she's absolutely beautiful. She's stunning. And I think she's a pretty fine little actress as well. And we're finding out that Kelly's father owns a shopping mall. And so for prank night, her sorority sisters want her and her fellow pledges to break into the shopping mall and steal the night watchman, steal his uniform from his badge right down to his skivvies, as she says. And that, of course, the 35-year-old sorority sister is named Megan. And of course, one of the girls has to interject in there that she's heard that the night watchman is hung like a mule or something. Doesn't say hung like a horse, says hung like a mule. So one of the pledges tells Kelly, Megan's problem isn't weight or cellulite, as she says, that it's Kelly. She's jealous of Kelly because the guy that she likes has got the hots for Kelly, but Kelly wants nothing to do with him. So Kelly's telling Marsha that she's had the dream again. It's 3 times this week. We're going to learn more about this dream as the film goes on. And we saw that, I talked about the intro being very dreamlike. That's because it's supposed to be a dream. Now we're outside the Fireside Sanitarium. And I've always found, I don't know if anybody else finds them this way, but even the most kooky of mental hospital scenes creep me out. We have Miss Ratchet in training there. And if y'all don't know who Miss Ratchet is, that is Louise Fletcher's character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. If you've not seen it, check that out. So we're seeing, or we're going to see, this guy is very scarred. And if you had a sharp eye, you will notice that this guy is the guy that came in and caught his wife in bed with Clu Gulager during the early parts of the film. We're also seeing another patient of the mental hospital who seems to be very angry. So she's wanting her, her coworkers to make them stop. I mean, what does she expect them to do? You got the women banging on one side of the bars and the men banging on the other side of the bars. Yes, to poet, there is a way to see it online. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can get that. I had it in the description for the video. But everybody might have not been able to see that. Hold on just one sec here. There you go, the poet. Hopefully that will get you to the movie online. And for anybody else that would like to watch along and doesn't own a copy of the movie. So we're seeing that head nurse, who's very mean, leaving the mental hospital. And if you've seen as many of these movies as I have, which a lot of you probably have, you know that probably something bad is going to happen to this nurse. So she's hearing the patients singing Ring Around the Rosie, and somehow they've escaped. And she's like, well, what are you doing out of your rooms? Y'all get back in your rooms. And they have no intention of going back to their rooms, of course. And so they've surrounded her car, and somebody just stabbed her with that same gardening tool that we saw the man using at the beginning scene right before this one. And so we wonder, was it him that killed her? Or was it the other patient that we didn't see their face? We just saw their back and the long dark hair, appeared to be a woman. Now we're back to Vera Miles and Clu Gulager, and Kelly's birthday is coming up, and they're preparing. We're soon going to see that Clu Gulager's character is still, sowing his wild oats, even at the age he is here, and that he's having yet another affair. First, he had an affair with Vera Miles, and now we're going to see that he's having an affair with someone else here in some later scenes coming up. So they've gotten a phone call that someone has escaped from the mental hospital. It's someone close to them. And you're probably supposed to assume that it's Vera Miles's husband who she was cheating on with Clu Gulager. And Kelly has arrived home. Hey, John, you say Clu Gulager sex machine, LOL, just popping in a sec. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, John. So he's saying, 7 inmates escaped last night. But the head of the mental hospital said, don't worry about it, take care of it. That, when they escape, they usually turn back up in a few days. And that they're 300 miles away. And they don't want to tell Kelly, what's going on. And there again, you know, I must say it again. Deputy Zuniga is very vibrant and very beautiful. I mean, there may be some people that don't like her look, um, but I just, you know, very, very attractive and girl next door quality too, which is something that really strikes me. Eh, I would prefer girl next door beauty to glamorous any day. So they're talking about their psychology thesis or whatever. Oh, and here's this creepy guy that Megan likes, and he's got the hots for Kelly, but Kelly doesn't. And who would want something to do with this guy except Megan? I mean, he freaking wears a sweater around his shoulders. It's like that wouldn't do anything for me. This guy is a dork. Um, you know, and there's a huge difference between like a movie geek or nerd and a dork. And that guy is a dork. And so Kelly, we're seeing Kelly now going to her professor and saying that her, you know, like her final project or whatever, she's telling Mr. Adams, her professor, her psychology professor, that she wants to do her final on dreams and nightmares. And of course, he gets all up in there because he said, well, this wouldn't have anything to do with me doing my thesis on dreams and nightmares, would it? Or dream imagery or whatever. And we find out that Kelly is a freshman, and he's like, okay, well, I came off a little hot and heavy with this. I'm sorry, a little heavy handed. He said, but you'd be surprised how many freshmen come through here and try to pick the teacher's pet subject to try to get a good grade or whatever. So, as she's telling him why she wants this to be her project, he's very interested in it because he's doing his what is a master's thesis or whatever on it. And we find out that Kelly also has amnesia. She cannot remember. She has these nightmares, but she can't really remember certain things. And she was told by her parents that she fell out of a treehouse when she was a kid. And that's why she can't remember. But we, as movie watchers, know that there's more to it, right? So theoretically, she remembers nothing before the treehouse accident. So Mr. Adams has brought her into his little research lab. And she says this nightmare ends with this stranger coming in and fighting with her father, and the strange man ends up catching on fire and burning to death. And she says it's always the same. The last image is of his whole body engulfed in flames. And Mr. Adams says, you know, you got all the classic symbols there: mom, dad, fire, a strange man. He says, have you been to see a professional about this, a psychiatrist or psychologist? And she says, no, because my parents are always down on that stuff. John, you say, I think I have this one. I recall the end scene for sure. Some of these slashers can mix up for me, like this one in Sweet 16. Oh, yeah, John, I totally get that. Especially if I haven't seen some of these for a while. Thankfully, the initiation is one that I've, you know, seen quite frequently. So we're seeing that Mr. Adams has a kind of nerdy girl as his assistant that's going to be helping out. And they want to study Kelly because Kelly is having these really elaborate nightmares, and it's going to help her with her research for her project, but it's also going to help Mr. Adams as well. Excuse me, folks. And Mr. Adams tells her, it's normal to be nervous before we go into this and dig into it. But he says you're going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen. But again, those of us who have seen a lot of horror movies and stuff along the way know that nothing is ever as safe as it originally seems. So they must be shutting up this building for the night, and she's becoming sort of panicky because they're slowly turning the lights off on her. So she's in the bathroom, she raises up. We get one of those classic images of a little girl with a bloody knife, blood splashed on her face behind Kelly. And so I think at this point, we're supposed to assume or think that Kelly um, stabbed somebody when she was a kid, because that's the way her nightmare makes it look, right? But remember, folks, I believe there were some mirrors. And what have we learned about watching horror movies, especially with mirrors? Okay, think about that for a little bit. I don't want to give it all away right now because we're still near the beginning of the movie. It appears that Vera Miles' character is, as Steve would so eloquently put it, an alkie. Look at that big glass. That's a huge ass glass there. Yeah, I love Happy Birthday to Me too, John. You said that one is pretty underrated. I think so too. I really do. And that was actually, I was talking about VHS cover art, some of my favorite VHS cover art from 1981 last night on VHS Overload. And, you bringing that up tonight made me, think about that again. That film is very, very underrated. And you don't, honestly, I don't think you hear a lot of people talk about it. And I think it should be talked about, and I think it should be watched. I think to me, it's a 4-star slasher, or a 5-star slasher. I give things 5 deadites out of 5. I would definitely give Happy Birthday to Me 5 deadites out of 5. So we're seeing that they've got Kelly hooked up to all these probes and stuff like that. She's having that same nightmare she's been having. She's screaming and thrashing around, and Mr. Adams wakes her up. And he tells her, I'm used to this stuff. She says, I'm sorry. And he said, one guy almost broke my jaw one time. See, okay, so he's talking about the mirrors. He says the mirrors allow you to observe without really feeling like you're part of the bad thing that's going on. We're going to find out there's more to it with the mirrors. So Mr. Adams says to Heidi, his assistant, that there's a malfunction in the machine because she's saying that she's having a nightmare, but all the readouts from the machine indicate that she's not dreaming at all. But Mr. Adams doesn't really agree with what Heidi's saying. And you'll see Kelly looking in mirrors a lot through this movie. She's looking at one now. She was looking at one a couple of scenes ago in the bathroom. And that's when she saw the little girl with the bloody knife and the blood splashed on her face. I think, personally, that mirrors are very effective at one, throwing you off the trail. Things, when you're dealing with a lot of mirror imagery, things are never as they seem. They're not nearly as cut and dried as, hey, this person, is either a red herring or this person is the person doing the killing. This movie is never, ever cut and dried. And Happy Birthday to me is another one. And I'm glad again that John mentioned that, because it's similar to this one in that things are never as they seemed as far as the killer is concerned in Happy Birthday to me either. Okay. And there's some other, comparisons too. But again, I don't want to give everything away just yet. John, you said that, and curtains to me never get enough praise. Curtains, yes, another one that never, people don't talk about nearly enough. You say, I think with slashers, there's so many good ones, it's often easy to forget many. I still find new ones occasionally. Me as well. Yeah. I run into the same thing. So Kelly's mother is telling her, didn't your father get you the best doctors to help you get through this amnesia? And she said, yeah, but I still don't remember anything. And she, of course, doesn't want Kelly hanging around with Mr. Adams anymore. And we're going to find out why, because Mr. Adams is going to end up unearthing some things that Kelly's mother doesn't want unearthed. The original urban legend, I love that one too, the poet. That was one of the later slashers that I really latched onto. So remember when I said Clu Gulager was having another affair? Well, Kelly is hearing him talk on the phone. He's saying, all right, babe, I'll see you in a little while. He's not talking to his wife. He's talking to someone else on the phone. So this guy is a player. I ain't even going to lie about that. And I guess that goes to prove that you can never be too old to be a player, right? And never too old to sow your wild oats. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but he's telling, his wife that he's going out of town on a business trip, and he hears something outside. And what we always say about that is you don't want to, ask who's out there. You don't want to go out there by yourself, wandering around, even if it's just outside your house. So we see someone coming through the brush there, and coming up behind Clu Gulager. And, right in the throat with that gardening tool again. And Kelly's mom is still drinking. I think the kills in this, they're pretty standard, right? But they're very bloody and very effective, I think. And in addition, he's about to get his head cut off with a machete. And back to Miles drinking here. And she sees that her husband has left his glasses, and she's going to go, run them out to him. And she hears the car engine start. She's like, Dwight, Dwight, And we know that's not Dwight. Probably Dwight's in the trunk or something. And she makes the comment that sometimes I think that man would lose his head if it wasn't attached. And we had just seen the scene before where he had gotten his head cut off. So there's some humor to this one too. So you're getting your typical nudity, your TNA, that we've said over and over again is essential to these types of films. So we find out that Kelly's going to this dance with Mr. Adams. I heard a noise, and I hope that was not thunder. So I don't want anything to affect our lovely watch along here. Gang, and I hate to, but Dana always has to take her regular restroom breaks here. So y'all keep watching. Don't anybody leave. I will be right back. You can enjoy, if you're watching along, you can enjoy the gorgeous Daphne Zuniga there, and I will be right back. Well, actually, I won't because Steve's in the restroom right now. So I will have to wait. So we'll watch a little bit more of this together. Is it just me, or is that is that girl way too old to be a sorority sister? Now I know nowadays a lot of people get their start in college later in life, but usually those people ain't joining sororities. So now we're into the dance scene. And I think this is also meant to let the pledges kind of cut loose before initiation week actually starts, or Hell Week, I believe it's called. And actually, this is a fraternity party. And she says, I should have told you this was a fraternity party. And he said, oh, I too arrested my development for a few years. And she forgot to tell him that it was a repressed desires or something like that. They were supposed to come as their repressed desire or something. And he said, well, I wish I'd known. I would have came dressed as Freud or Jung or something. And she's like, sorry about that. So we see that one of the girls' dates is dressed as something very inappropriate there for those of you that are watching along. I told you this guy's a dork for y'all watching along. So we can see one chick that is part of the pledge group. Is not really interested in doing this thing anymore. And we see that one of Kelly's other fellow pledges is coming on to her date, coming on to Mr. Adams. So the party punch is getting a little extra added ingredient, if you know what I mean. And as Joe Bob would say, I think you do. It's getting spiked. Being a jerk, Ralph, that's what you were saying. That's what you were saying incorrectly. So Mr. Adams' name is Peter, and so Kelly's telling him, sorry, Peter, I just had to get out of there. So they went back to, I'm guessing, not sure if that, maybe that's his little lab there. I think so. So she's telling Peter all this stuff, and then, he's not really saying anything. And so then he says, I've been listening to you. He said, sometimes I think I don't listen enough. So we can see that, they're kissing now. So there's a mutual attraction between Kelly and Peter there. So we're going to come up on a scene where Kelly's mother's going to bust in when they're doing one of those nightmare analysis things. But I'm going to step away again. Please don't anybody leave. Please, I'll be back. Um, but I'm going to go away for just a sec. All right, gang, I'm back. Now I got me some. I don't know how many of you have had this AMC Theaters popcorn, but this stuff is good. If you don't have one of those popcorn machines, um, we don't have any flavor call or any of that stuff. This stuff is the next best thing, and it's microwavable. So Kelly's mom has burst in on the research, and um, Peter couldn't get her to wake up by saying, "Kelly Fairchild, wake up!" And her mother comes in and says, "Call her Kelly Randall." So that's putting another little wrinkle in things. And he says, "Why did she respond to the name Randall?" And of course, Kelly's mother won't answer. So Peter says that Kelly's, it's not, what she's having is not a dream or nightmare, it's a memory. And that Kelly perceives herself as two different people. Well, we'll see that is not exactly what's going on. So Beth is the girl that's not really into this whole pledging to a sorority thing. So they're getting ready to go to Kelly's father's mall, and Beth is nowhere to be seen. I mean, we've seen her out on the front lawn, but she's not there with the other girls. And we see that the night watchman is looking at an adult magazine. Because that's what all night watchmen do, right? And he's apparently doing his rounds. He's going to check on a weird beeping, what I assume to be the alarm system. Something ain't right there. I think keys are missing, if I'm remembering correctly. So we're seeing appears to be a woman reflected, not in a mirror, but in glasses and sunglasses. This back in the days when they had those big ass flashlights. I kind of wish we still had those. Oh, he's toast. So we're seeing that the main sorority sister, not Megan, but the one that was giving the girls the blessing, seems to be a little bit nicer than Megan. So Beth has finally decided she's not going to go along with this. She said, "This is crazy. You've gone too far, Megan. I didn't come to college for this Girl Scout shit." So Megan, finally tells her, "You're out, you're gone, understand?" And she says, "Don't bother, I quit." So Andy the dork and two other friends are planning on, scaring the girls in the department store. So Megan tells them they got 1 hour to get the night watchman's uniform. So it's only Marcia and Allison, who's the blonde there, and Kelly, because Beth, of course, dropped out. And they're trying to set up what they need to do in order to get the night watchman's uniform. So Kelly knows that the night watchman, they keep a spare uniform. And that's what they're going to do instead of actually getting the night watchman to take off his actual uniform. Meanwhile, Megan and the boys are setting up another plan. So Allison is supposed to be diverting the night watchman's attention, and his name is Todd. Meanwhile, Allison's getting distracted herself when she sees a store that has roller skates and clothes. And you're getting more topless action there, gang. You guys in particular. This is back in the day when roller skating was king, folks. And one can see, but Allison didn't see, that someone had broken the glass at the knife counter. So Allison said she didn't see a night watchman. And we know why she didn't see the night watchman, because the night watchman had gotten killed earlier. Andy's still trying to, well, I don't know. Maybe it's Megan that's still wanting to have fun with Andy. But Andy's still a dork. I ain't gonna lie. So they figured out it's Chad and Ralph that rode the bowling ball at them. But they're on to the other boys. So they're realizing that Megan still has the key. She's not there at the back door. So they can't get out. Policemen's come by and found Clue Gulliger's, Mr. Fairchild's abandoned car, I believe. And there's blood all over the license plate. Yeah, there's more of Andy being a dork in his leopard underwear. So, gang, as is usual with a lot of these movies, these slasher movies in particular, they're usually not very long, and we're over an hour into this one. We got about 34 minutes left, which is not long. Like I said, usually these suckers move pretty quickly. That's why a lot of times with the watch-alongs, I like to do slashers. And as we can see, this could be considered a Christmas slasher or a Christmas horror film because we're seeing in the department store, we're seeing some animated elves and the Santa Claus and all that. I tend to forget that. But technically, you could watch this one as a, if you have a theme horror film times like I do, and try to pick certain horror films to watch around certain holidays. Another one a lot of people don't um, think about, I believe, is Night of the Comet. I think that one's considered a Christmas one too. Oh, well, at least Andy's been dispatched. We don't need to see his dorky ass anymore. He got axed in the head. And Megan's now, she's looking for Andy. I was only kidding. So Allison said, we can't sit in this building all night. And Marsha's scared. And Allison's like, come on, Marsha, you're so naive. Megan's behind all this shit. Hey, middle act. And Allison tells Marsha to find a place to hide. They'll show their ugly faces here eventually. And Megan's still looking for Andy, of course. Seems that somebody's got a nice bow and arrow there. So it's not all, stabbing with knives and a garden implement. I don't think this person's playing around, Megan. Too late. She got shot with an arrow. I'm not sure why they were so scared. They knew these two dorks were in there, and just because they popped out of an area like a changing room area with masks on, clearly rubber masks. The girls screamed their full heads off. Now they're laughing. And that, of course, is Ralph and Chad. And Ralph was the one that Marsha went to the dance with. There's Heidi again, Peter's assistant. So she's found a bunch of information for Peter. So we see that someone with the last name Randall was burned over 40% of his body, just the way Kelly dreamed it. And this is Jason Randall, floor manager, Houston's Fairchild department store. So she says Kelly didn't try to kill her father. She tried to kill the man who was trying to kill her father. So Francis Randall and Dwight Fairchild, Vera Miles, and Clu Gulager got married. So 6 inmates escaped last night from the rural fireside at a sanatorium. Also reported missing was a nurse, Gladys Higgins, and an inmate groundskeeper, Jason Randall. Then the nurse was found murdered, of course. Mean saw in connection with the killing was Jason Randall, inmate groundskeeper. So now Peter's frantically trying to get a hold of Kelly, but as we know, Kelly is at the department store, who she thinks is her father, his department store, but we are beginning to understand that Jason Randall is Kelly's real father. So who is this other inmate we're seeing? We're going to find out about that. And the thing with the mirrors is going to come more and more into play. So he tries to call Kelly's mom to see if Kelly's there. Basically, Francis picks up, Kelly's mother picks up and just kind of lets the phone sit there. And so Heidi says, well, you know, Peter, you left again. I'm just going to sit here grading your papers. And that's the tagline to this movie. They pledge themselves to be young, stay young, and die young. So Marsha tells everybody, you know, y'all kid around that I'm a virgin, but I'm not a virgin. And this seems an odd, I will say this seems an odd spot in this film to put this, to interject this in here, but we're going to find out that when Marsha was 12, she was molested by her piano teacher. Or her violin teacher, sorry. I mean, I think this is the only part where I'm like, what? Why is this in here? Why does this need to be in here? What it does nothing to push the action along at all. It seems like the most misplaced thing ever. And maybe if somebody else can figure out why they would have put this in the movie at this particular spot when it makes no sense to put it in here, um, other than to give Marsha more backstory. But I don't think they need to give Marsha more backstory. They need to give Kelly more backstory, but not Marsha. I mean, we are an hour and 15 minutes into the movie and we're getting this bombshell dropped. I mean, I like the Marsha character and everything. It's just that I don't understand that. So Ralph comes to Marsha's aid and she says, "What? No jokes?" And he says, "Fresh out." And here's something else that makes even less sense is a girl that was molested when she was 12 is not really going to be that jazzed about having sex. I wouldn't think. And so we're soon going to see that she's going to have sex with Ralph. Mhm. Oh, somebody turned out the lights in the bathroom. And he thinks it's Alice, and he's like, "Damn it, Alice, I just peed all over my leg." That we've seen, again, we've all seen enough of these slasher films or films of this type, that we know that, Megan didn't, or not Megan, Allison didn't do that. And so Kelly's on the intercom and she's, you know, she doesn't know that or I keep getting mixed up. Megan is dead. So she's saying, you guys can come on out now. Meanwhile, Allison is having, I guess, wedding day fancies. She's talking to a mannequin. Oh no, well, I guess she found the night watchman now. So she goes screaming for Chad. Oh, Chad's not doing too good there. And she's found Kelly. So Allison doesn't want to go back in the bathroom. So Kelly says, go by the security desk and I'll go take a look. Oh, excuse me, folks. Yeah, she found Chad too. That's some very good blood that they have here. And we can see that Kelly has been written on the mirror in blood. So there we see Marcia in bed with Ralph. Another thing that I don't understand. So, oh, there's the other person. Oh, they just took out Allison there. She's trying to grab the intercom, all the while being stabbed very viciously there. And so we're down to about the last quarter of the movie. Got about 20 minutes left. Or just a little bit less than 20 minutes, about 17 minutes. So Peter has arrived at the Fairchild home. And I think, Miss Fairchild has been drinking a little bit too much. And he says, Miss Fairchild, I'm looking for Kelly. And, I thought she might be here. And she says, would you pour me a drink, please? He says, is your husband here? She says, my husband is dead. They found him 2 blocks from his building, murdered. So Beth is still at the sorority house. And Beth tells him, they're on a pledge prank. And he says, where? And she's not going to tell. And he says, damn it, it's important. And she says they're at the Fairchild building. So he's telling Miss Fairchild, I need the keys to the building. And he tells her, I want you to call the police and have them meet me at the building. She says it's happening again. Oh. Sorry, folks, my voice is starting to go. Well, poor Ralph has been dispatched, and we found out he wasn't too bad of a guy. Marcia screaming, running around. Kelly says, I can hear you, Marcia. I'm coming, Marcia. So we can see a shadow coming up on them. Appears to be the killer. So they're thinking they're going to wait in this elevator between 2 floors until morning. And Kelly says nobody's going to get us here, which we know that's never true. Peter's still frantically trying to make his way to the department store. So we're seeing that somebody's trying to climb down and get to them. Oh no. And someone is dragging Marcia back into the elevator. That was kind of a dumb thing that Kelly did there, just kind of leaving Marcia there. I guess she was just expecting that she would follow her. And she sees that her poor friend is dead and the killer is dragging Marcia's lifeless body away. And there is Jason Randall. So he's apparently not killing people, or he did not kill Marcia. And Kelly's probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is the guy from my dream. Who is he? What does he want? Is he the one that's been killing my friends? Peter again is trying to find his way there. And he's saying, Kelly, little Kelly, because unfortunately, as traumatized as Jason Randall was, he still, apparently sees Kelly as a little girl. And Kelly, being frightened of him, of course, hits him with a metal pipe and he falls off the building. She thinks, well, first of all, she thinks, oh God, what did I do? But probably at the same time, she's thinking, well, I'm safe now. I got rid of this guy. And he's still, right now, he's still conscious. Jason Randall is. But he's not in too good a shape because he fell off of a building. So Peter's finally made it there. He's frantically, looking for Kelly. Oh, well, that looks like Kelly, but she's got different clothes. But he didn't see what kind of clothes Kelly had on. So he's thinking that's her and he's hugging her. I'm so glad I found you. Oh, no. It's apparently not Kelly. But it looks just like Kelly, right? So is the stuff about the mirror starting to make sense for those of you that have followed along from the beginning? She says, it's like looking in a mirror, isn't it, Kelly? And if you haven't come to the realization yet, this is Kelly's twin. So not only does Dabney Zuniga do an excellent job of playing Kelly, but she does an excellent job of playing her mentally disturbed sister. So we find out that Jason Randall was picking up, hiding bodies and stuff like that to protect her. So her twin says, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kill you and take your spot. And we find out that Kelly's mother has killed her other daughter. And it looks like Peter survived. So for those of you that were worried about Peter's well-being, he made it. He's going to have to go to the hospital. Cops are here. And her father's not dead either. He made it through falling off of a building miraculously. So I'm never sure if I don't know if they're taking Mrs. Fairchild down to the police station for a statement or they're planning on arresting her. And so we get the freeze frame on Kelly. And we are at the final credits. And as always, and by the way, Kelly's sister was named Terry, and Daphne Zuniga, of course, played both of them. But I will, as always, stay with you guys and gals that want to stick around till the end credits. If you want to bring anything up about the movie or bring up, stuff about other similar movies to this one or anything that you want to bring up, as long as it's nice, that will be fine. And like I said, I will stay with you guys and gals until the end credits completely roll. And then if nobody has any questions or comments or anything like that, I'll probably go ahead and call it a night. But I want to thank everybody that joined me at any point in time for this rescheduled initiation watch along. Because this was a rescheduled one, there will not be a watch along tomorrow night. And sadly, I forgot to get the stuff to make the Children of the Cornbread salad. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be having a movie munchies for this month. That was my mistake, and I truly apologize for that. But be on the lookout for a movie munchies to happen at some point in May for Children of the Cornbread salad. Okay, folks. So again, apologies on that. That was my mistake, by forgetting to get the ingredients to make that. And the credits are rolling. We got about another minute or so on these. It doesn't look like anybody has got any questions or comments yet. But I want to thank everybody that showed up for the chat, as well as those that maybe didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat but were hanging around and listening to me talk about this movie and or watching it with me. And I want to also thank people that will watch this on the replay. I thank everybody for all their support of both me and the channel and the shop at deaditesondeck.com. And we are at the official end. And so I don't see anybody saying anything in the chat. So, as always, got popcorn kernel on my shirt there. I'm off like a dirty shirt. Despite the popcorn kernel, this shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.